All right, everybody, back with a brand new Cabral HouseCall here in sunny Las Vegas. I'm traveling for work and not for pleasure. Out here recording a few shows on some great podcasts, many of them actually in the entrepreneurial-based space, where I'm talking about anti-aging, longevity, health, a lot of these things that entrepreneurs want, because oftentimes they're trading their health in order to improve their business or all the hours that they need to put in. So I love being able to spread natural health-based modalities and protocols to those sometimes who need it the most. But what we do here on the weekend show, if you're not familiar, is answer anywhere between 5 to 6 of our community's questions every Saturday and Sunday, so about a dozen total for the week. So welcome. We're going to answer again all things wellness, weight loss, weight gain, anti-aging. Let's get started. So my team put together our document for the week. I'm just opening it up. And the first question here is from Jenny. Remember, if you have your own question, I would recommend you write in at ask, or actually write in at cabralsupportgroup.com. That's our daily and private Facebook group where you can get your questions answered each day. And if you want to wait to have it answered on the show by me, feel free to do so by writing in at stephencabral.com/askcabral. All right, let's get started. Jenny's up first. Jenny says, Dr. Cabral, thank you for you and your wonderful team for all that you help with our community. It is truly amazing, and I never miss a podcast. Thank you, Jenny. Appreciate you tuning in each day. To celebrate your 2000th episode, your wife joined you and shared some of her favorite skincare products, and it was so great to get her perspective in addition to yours. Any chance she can make a reappearance and give us an update since, like you, she may have new favorites and other recommendations of what has worked for her. Thank you. Jenny, absolutely. So I just debuted, as you know, episode 3000 just a few days ago. And I was thinking about, should my wife come back on for the show and all these things? You have to understand is that we're very similar individuals, very similar in a lot of our values and a lot of the ways that we think, but very different in terms of getting on a camera, getting on a microphone, and wanting to basically, speak, be in front of an audience, etc. But my wife knows a lot, meaning like, she's an expert for sure in skincare, all of those things. I'd be happy to have her back on. We just have to make that happen. And just like me with nutritional supplements and labs and all sorts of different research and protocols, she's always doing the same in terms of skincare. So she has her staples, right? What she would call her daily foundational protocol for skin, just like I have it for nutritional supplements. And then she's always adding in and testing new ones. So we'll try to make that happen. All right. Anonymous is up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I recently had foot surgery that resulted in a small metal titanium plate that is now permanent. Are there any risks or precautions I should be aware of or protocols that you recommend? Thank you for all you do. All right. So again, I can't give you any medical advice, medical treatment plans, medical diagnosis, or medical, advice in any way. But when it comes to a titanium plate, the good thing about titanium and zirconium, because we have podcasts on that about the MOLF, is that they're not typically, the body doesn't typically see them as toxic or allergic or react to them as often. So that's kind of like the good news. And then specifically, there's nothing that I would do for the titanium plate that's now permanent. Instead, what I would do is say, were you on antibiotics for the surgery? What did you need to do? And then I would look at, okay, let's repair the gut, or let's test the gut if we need to, if we think there's yeast overgrowth or bacterial overgrowth from taking the antibiotics. And so you run the big 3 for the gut at stephencabral.com/shop. That'll take you over to EcoLife, or you can do the CBO protocol. And then you would do the CBO finisher, which is the healthy gut support, and the specifically probiotic in terms of repairing the gut. Okay. Then I would just look at making sure that you maintain flexibility, mobility in the ankle and foot, and then of course strengthening it, okay, in all directions. All right. Rocco's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. Love your work and especially your chocolate daily nutritional support. I recently did the Big 5 labs, although not all EcoLife from Australia because of the shipping and taxes. I did my stool test through a naturopath in Australia, and one of the key findings was very low pH. Do you know why this would be and what I could do about it? The consistency of my stool sample was soft, elastase was low, and butyrate and total short chain fatty acids were both high. Okay, and I would have expected that. So the naturopath spoke to me about the reasons of my findings, but not seem to cover much on the low pH. Should I be doing something to change this? Most of the other labs I did show symptoms of high stress. So not sure if it has anything to do with the low pH. Okay, yeah, happy to help with this. So I would be shocked if your short chain fatty acids weren't elevated with low pH. So oftentimes when there's overgrowth in the gut from yeast or bacteria, and it could even be good bacteria, but it could be overgrown, right? Especially small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. And you have a lot of lactobacillus or lactobacillic or lactic acid-based bacteria growing in your gut. It could ferment, leading to potentially a lower pH. Okay, so that's one reason. Taking antibiotics recently would be another. Certain medications could be another. What else? Those are the main ones that I look at. You may not have enough enzymes. Your elastase is a little bit low. Yeah, that's mainly what I would look at specifically. And so if you're not already doing it, you may want to do the CBO protocol with the citracidal drops and then finish with a CBO finisher. Okay? All right. Great question. Great question. Amina is up next. Why do I have very bad breath and I can't smell my own breath? When I was younger, I always had bad breath. I brush, floss, and even tongue scrape. I've tried everything. What can it be? Okay, so actually I've answered this question many times. Go to stephencabral.com/podcasts, type in bad breath, and also then on a different search, type in halitosis, okay? I'll happy to answer it again, but I just want you to know, you waited about 2 months to have this question answered, and you could have had it answered 2 months ago. That's all. So I just want people to search. That's all. Okay, so what can we do? Well, if it is not local, meaning that if you have, let's say you have bacteria growing in your mouth, inflammation in your mouth, a lot of anaerobic bacteria, that can definitely lead to bad breath. But let's say you brush, you floss, you tongue scrape. I would add in oil pulling. Okay, so that's one. You can just do it in the morning if you want. A little sesame oil, a little bit of, or coconut oil, or there was a product that I recommended. I wish I could, I think it's called Happy Mouth. I'm not positive, but you can always find my resources at stephencabral.com/resources. All right. And they'll be on that page. And it's a just nice tasting oil pulls. All right. So we have that, but remember, most real halitosis comes from the gut, and it is poor digestion. And it can really be, I always give the analogy, even though it's a little gross, we can be a little bit gross we don't want to be crude, but we can be a little gross in the show because it is a family show. So think of it this way. If you throw food the night before from dinner down your garbage disposal, but you don't turn the garbage disposal on and you wait a day, that garbage disposal smells pretty bad, right? It's all that rotting, fermenting food. That can actually happen in your gut. So we've been able to help clients. We just have them run the big three. I've actually, this has been a lot of shows about the gut today. And that just sometimes happens. Luck of the draw with the questions, I guess. And so we want to look at what's going on with the gut. So you can run the Candida bacteria and vitamins test. You can run the bacterium parasite stool test, and or the food sensitivity test. We call that the big three. Again, you can find that at stephencabral.com/shop. That'll take you over to our integrative health practice online where we help people all over the world. And we would work on gut imbalances. So keep doing the oral part of it, right? But then I would also, if you don't run the lab tests, CBO protocol with citracidal drops, and then the CBO finisher to just heal and seal the gut wall. If you ever have questions, write in at cabralsupportgroup.com. They'll walk you through how to do the whole protocol, all right? All right. Lara is up, and our last question for today. Hi, Dr. C. I'm wondering about cornstarch and other starches and products. We mostly find things in those starches in them in gluten-free products, even in cream of tartar-based baking powder. O is cream of tartar potassium betitrate or potassium hydrogen tartrate okay to use instead of other baking powders? Why is it so bad to consume cornstarch? Why is tapioca starch bad? Why potato starch? Is it only because they're GMO in the USA? Because that is probably not the same for Europe, right? Here, we're supposed to have better regulations when it comes to corn, I think. It would be helpful to know to explain in length to friends and family here. Thank you for all your help. You're absolutely amazing. Thank you, Laura. You're amazing. I appreciate you. So here's the thing. Many of these starches are not necessarily bad, but you're right. They're genetically modified, and we don't want that. So if it says non-GMO, then it's not often an issue. especially with cornstarch. So let's kind of take this from a bunch of different angles. Potato starch is almost always another word for a genetically modified organism. They use that really liberally, that word. So you just have to check with the company, like what's really going on here, okay? Tapioca starch, it just doesn't digest well for a lot of people. It absorbs a lot of water. It becomes like a gel-like substance and can cause bloating and gastric distress in many people. Not everybody, but for some people. So I'm not a recommender usually of tapioca starch. Cornstarch, I don't usually have as much of an issue with because I don't really have an issue with corn. It's part soluble, but mainly insoluble base fiber. The starch is literally part of the carbohydrate. So they use cornstarch in many things to even out the powder. Cornstarch is also good at absorbing water. And then let's move a little bit to the potassium bitartrate. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that, but I know exactly what you're talking about. The potassium tartrate, which I see more for cream of tartar. That actually increases the pH level of a baking powder, and I don't see it as a bad thing. But please leave a comment below if you have other thoughts. I would love to hear it, especially if you're watching this on YouTube. Let me know. And that is, they're always present in baking powders, a cornstarch, some type of starch in there. So I don't have an issue with those. I look for aluminum free. I look for non-GMO, and that's particularly what I use. So hopefully that was helpful. I don't know if it's exactly what you were looking for, but that is how I look for it. Baking soda is different than baking powder. The powder is going to have a cornstarch or something added to it. And then the potassium increases the pH of that particular product, making it a little bit more balanced if you're using that to also balance against acids in baking, which is oftentimes how it's used. So hopefully that is helpful, Laura. I don't know if I got, like I said, to all of these, but I like my products as clean as possible and non-GMO, organic when possible. And then I also say, what type of starch is it? And if it's a tapioca, just does it cause bloating or gastric distress in that individual? So hopefully that was helpful. I'll be back tomorrow answering more of our community's questions. Thanks so much, everybody. As always, do share the show with anyone you believe it could serve. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.